You know, most movies don't have real characters. Most movies have characters where things happen to them, but they don't have an actual voice. This probably was the most fun I ever had acting in anything. It was easier to shoot the donkey than to shoot Kieran Culkin. When something is so popular, I avoid it. The way I was like pitching it was, I was like, it's like Old Joy on a Holocaust tour. Everybody said, you're saying two things that do not make me feel comfortable as an investor. It's a satire and it makes the characters stupid, but the movie itself is so smart. If I had bravery and skill, this is what I would do.
I know you're not the most comfortable person with groups.
I'm not?
No.
Welcome, Jesse.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's one of the last two video stores in Paris, called GM Video. What is your relationship with the physical edition, DVDs, and to this kind of place when you can rent actual DVDs?
Yeah, no, when I was younger, we used to go to Blockbuster Video, which is, you know, the American video chain, and I would just get like overwhelmed, like there's too many choices, you know, so it was hard to choose. It's amazing to be in this place here because I can't remember the last time I was like looking at everything. You know, when you choose a movie now digitally, somehow it seems less special because they're not existing really. You know, it's virtual. So this is kind of amazing to see. Can we start with this one? This movie is like, I could watch this movie 1,000 times.
Is this? I'm guessing that this is.
Yeah, he's feeling unwell, clearly.
He's irreplaceable.
It's all of my interests. In college, I studied, you know, Soviet history. I studied Russian, Russian culture, and it's hysterically funny. It's like it's brilliantly funny.
Vasily, your father is dead.
You're dividing the spoils. Leave his brain alone. How old are you?
I'm old.
You're not old. You're not even a person. You're a testicle.
It's a satire and it makes the characters stupid, but the movie itself is so smart. And I love the way it takes this historical moment, which was a very scary historical moment of, you know, Stalin dying, not only Stalin dying, but also Stalin purging people. And it just turns it into clowns. They're clowns. And I think probably for people who lived through communism in Russia, I wonder how they feel, and I wonder if in some way it makes them feel like comforted, you know, because it turns this very scary period into kind of clowns.
All of you can kiss my Russian ass. All of you.
I picked a movie there from
this?
Jerry. No,
oh, sorry. Yeah, this.
That one.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have a relationship with it.
Yeah, so, you know, I haven't watched a lot of it's Skolomovsky's movies, but this is a brilliant movie. And what's really amazing and what's most interesting to me in this movie is the cinematography, because my friend shot it. His name is Michał Dymek. He has another movie out now called The Girl with the Needle. He's a brilliant cinematographer. He's very young and he has an amazing future ahead of him. And he shot our movie, A Real Pain.
The blue stains on the walls are residue from the deadly gas.
And I like this movie a lot, and the cinematography is brilliant. But he made another movie the same year called Sweat with the same director, this Danish director. And I liked Sweat even more. I mean, it's less innovative than EO. But I thought for my movie, for Real Pain, I thought, oh, this guy is great from Sweat. And then this movie shows his range. He just has an amazing skill. Well, it's funny because A Real Pain, I wanted him to shoot it like Crimes and Misdemeanors, like this Woody Allen movie from, you know, 35 years ago. And so I gave him like this Woody Allen movie. I said, I want it to look like this movie. So EO is not like a reference. But what was interesting is that Kieran Culkin, who's in the movie, he never stood on his mark. He would always like move in different places. And Michał, the cinematographer, had to follow him wherever he was going. And Michał would say it was easier to shoot the donkey than to shoot Kieran Culkin. Yeah, this movie I watched when I was younger, and I just wished it was longer. I could watch it forever, and it made me realize that I really do have kind of specific taste, because I was a teenager, but this was like the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And so it taught me that I had maybe unusual taste for a teenager. You know, most movies don't have real characters. Most movies have characters where things happen to them, but they don't have an actual voice. But this movie had real characters. They're speaking a certain way, they're thinking a certain way. It's like, you really felt like they were people. Again, 90% of movies have characters where just like they're a regular person and then something happens to them, and that's the character. And those are not characters. Those are just like basically, you know, mannequins. And so this was really showed me that you can have real characters. And the fact that it was long was just great because you can get more in depth with them. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's one of the great documentaries because, you know, he found a subject and the subject is eccentric.
Even the bears will believe that you are more powerful. And in a sense, you must be more powerful if you are to survive in this land with the bear.
And the subject is not really relatable. Like this guy, Timothy Treadwell, is not a relatable protagonist. Like, you don't see yourself in him. But what the director does so well is make us feel for him, even though he's doing something that none of us would do.
Ding. Hi, go back to your friend. Go back to your friend.
Herzog is such an unusual mind that he takes eccentricities and makes them emotionally connecting. There's an irony to it because he's so clever. Herzog is clever and he has weird taste, and so there's a kind of like almost a strange irony to the movie, but never at the expense of the character. It always feels like he's respecting and loves this guy.
I have seen this madness before on a film set. But Treadwell is not an actor in opposition to a director or a producer. He's fighting civilization itself.
Just on the new section over there, I put the new Yorgos Lanthimos picture. Because there's something that people don't know is that she has produced your two first pictures as a director.
Exactly. Well, Emma produced my first two movies and is producing my third now, along with her husband, Dave McCary, and their partner, Ali Herding. Ali is like my right-hand person. Like, we make every decision together, and Em and Dave are unbelievable producers. Emma gave me the best note on my script and was like brilliant in the editing room. She was great on set because I was acting in the movie and directing it, and Emma was watching the monitor with their headphones and giving me acting notes. I mean, you can't ask for a better person to give you acting notes. Most of her notes were, she just told me to stop moving so much because you can see I kind of sway, and she told me to stop doing that because it's distracting. But you know, she also produced this movie. She produced Kinds of Kindness.
Are you excited to find out if it's a boy or girl?
She just produced his new movie. So she's a great producer. I don't know that people think of her as a producer, obviously, because she's such a well-known actress, but she's a great producer, and like, you know, she's produced several movies, and she's invaluable. Yeah, we worked together in 2009 on Zombieland.
All I could think of was, what are the odds? Another marriageable woman to bring home to the folks.
Come quick.
And I just remember talking to her. She was 20 years old, and she was so smart, like really brilliant, not just at acting, but at like knowing what the movie that we were doing is, like knowing what the tone, like she's so bright. And so now we have these like marketing meetings with Searchlight, is the company that put out A Real Pain. And you know, there's like 30 people on these meetings, and we're all just like waiting for her to talk because she has these brilliant ideas. So she's great at like the, you know, the artistic part of it, but she's also just great at like the business side of the industry, you know, a part that I don't know well. And she's just great. I'm so lucky to work with her. Yes, so Kieran is in this show.
The old world, it's gone. Papers gone, news gone. Tune in to ABS at 9 to be told what to think. No, over.
I've actually not seen Succession yet because, you know, it's so popular, and when something is so popular, I avoid it out of some kind of small-minded jealousy. So I just, you know, everybody told me, Succession, you'll love Succession. So I was like, I can't watch that now. So I'll watch it at some point. But, you know, I was just happy because I love Kieran, and I was happy that he was in something popular because it allowed me to hire him and get the money for the movie. You know, the way independent film works in America is like, you know, you need famous people to be in your movie. So our movie cost $3 million. It's a small budget, but like, if it wasn't Kieran, we couldn't have that budget. You know, so the fact that he was in something popular made my movie possible, but it didn't make me want to cast him. I wanted to cast him because of him. But the fact that he was in something popular allowed the investors to feel comfortable putting the money into the movie. So I'm very grateful to this show. And I'm sure it would be my favorite thing in the world when I finally watch it. Right, so this is, yes, the first movie version of Oliver.
Who cares? Whatever we got, we share.
I think Roman Polanski even made a version of Oliver, maybe in like 2010 or something. This was made in 1968, and, it's a good movie, but it's a musical that I was in a few times when I was a kid, and so I watched it growing up, and yeah, the movie's good. I'm trying to see Oliver in 2 days on the West End because I'm going to London, and I love the show, I love the score. It's a beautiful, sweet story, and the movie is good. Yeah, it's a good version. The Polanski version is good too, but it's not a musical. So I'm very interested in movies, around the theme of the Holocaust, and one of the best ones is Louis Malle's movie, which I guess is autobiographical, of a kid he was in school with.
Il y a un juif ici, je sais.
On n'a vu personne.
Et toi? Viens ici. Baisse ta culotte. Vite.
What I love about that movie is it really is, and how do you say it? We say goodbye children. How do you say it?
Au revoir les enfants.
Au revoir.
Au revoir les enfants.
Oh, so it's the translation. Okay, au revoir les enfants. What I love about the movie is that it's it feels very real. It does not feel like melodrama. It just feels very scary and very real. And, it talks about losing innocence as a kid. And it's a great, World War II themed movie, but not in a way that feels like melodrama. And it's one of my favorite World War II themed movies. Okay. Yeah, so this is Crimes and Misdemeanors. It was, or how do you say, crime et délit?
I just wanted you to know everything came out fine. It's over and done with, no problems, so you can forget about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, to me, this is, the most perfect movie. It's dramatic and comic, and it's so perfectly calibrated. It's about big themes, but told through really kind of petty characters. This is the movie I gave to my cinematographer, Michał Dymek, for A Real Pain. I said, I want to shoot it like this, and he watched 20 minutes, and I said, are you going to finish it? He goes, no, I think I understand. I was like, just finish the movie. He's like, no, I got it. And so we were on set, and he would sometimes say, this is like that shot in Crimes and Misdemeanors. And I was like, you watched 20 minutes of it. You have no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, my goal as a writer is to do a movie kind of like this, which is there's one storyline that's comic, there's one storyline that's dramatic, and then they meet up, and I think it's just brilliantly conceived. My movie, 2 movies from now, I think will try to do that, and I just love it so much. And it's his best movie, along with Husbands and Wives.
Jack and I are splitting up.
Oh, I see. It's just nothing serious. So
hey, we discussed this for a long time, and we both think it's for the best.
In terms of a movie I was in, I chose some movies I was in just because we were talking about kind of movies I was in that made me kind of want to direct, or that seemed similar. And this movie, similar to Crimes and Misdemeanors, is really funny and also quite sad.
Mom and I are we're going to separate.
It's witty without being comic, so it's not like people are doing comic acting, but it's very clever and funny.
Motherfucker!
My serve.
And the script was so brilliant. I mean, I read it, I think, when I was 19 years old. We ended up filming the movie 2 years later because it took a while to raise the money. This movie was made for $1 million. It's crazy. But I remember just reading it thinking, I didn't know you could kind of write like this, where you can have something that's so funny, but no one's being funny. Everybody's being kind of mean, but it's really funny and also sad. It was just kind of, it's revelatory to read. I mean, everybody I know who read the script felt the same way. Because I had other friends who were auditioning for this movie and stuff, and we were all just I couldn't believe what I was reading. I don't think I've ever read anything like that. And then being on the set of a $1 million movie in New York is really helpful, because you see how you can make movies pretty cheaply. You can see okay, I know what to do. I know how to be flexible here. There were scenes that were in this movie that were so brilliant in the script that we didn't have enough money to film. There was like this really funny like dance sequence, and they didn't have enough money to film the dance sequence, so he put it in, instead he set it in this science classroom or something, and the scene was still good. And so I was kind of learning, I guess, maybe as like a writer or director or something, like learning how to be flexible, which is what you have to do in independent films.
And have you followed his career to Baumbach? All the movies that you've done after?
We know each other, we speak, and he's, you know, I'm making a new movie and he's been helping me with the hiring because, you know, I'm working with some people that worked with him. So yeah, you know, he's been very nice to me. Yeah, this movie...
My body has been replaced by a shell. My internal organs are made of stone. I've been dead for years.
Right. I've seen this movie 10,000 times because I worked with this director, Richard Ayoade. To me, it's like, was the best working experience I've ever had. He's brilliant and so creative in a way that I've just never seen before. His taste is very strange and his interests are very odd and his humor is unusual. And this movie, to me, is like just a perfect collection of this very unusual man, Richard, his taste. He's a cinephile. He loves kind of old movies and he loves, you know, French New Wave, which he kind of uses a little bit in this. Again, it's so funny, but it's also very cinematic. Like, it's an unusually cinematic movie, and I think people don't probably realize that, but he's shooting on different formats. He's shooting, you know, Super 8. He's employing different kind of film techniques that are really sophisticated, like characters who are speaking straight to camera as with an unusual shot as the camera pushes in and they're speaking against a black background.
You're too good for me. You're too good for anyone. Sincerely, Oliver.
Is using a lot of very interesting cinematic techniques that most comedies never think of doing. I really just, you know, think he's the best. And so we did this movie, The Double, together. And it was fascinating to be on set. There are all these scenes in the movie that you expect to be filmed a certain way, and they just weren't. When I met with him about the script, I was asking him, is this scene really good? Like, it takes place in this weird world, but this scene seems like there were some scenes that just seemed typical. And I asked him, why is this scene typical? I had some scenes with this actor, Noah Taylor, and he played like my colleague at work. He's kind of like crass and mean to me at work.
Well, no offense, mate, but you're pretty unnoticeable. Bit of a non-person.
And I asked Richard, this scene reads a little bit like just kind of typical. And Richard said, no, you don't understand. The way it's going to be filmed and the set, it's just going to feel totally different. And so like every scene kind of felt that way. I mean, the script was wonderful. It was written by Richard and Avi Kurin, but there were certain scenes that I just couldn't picture in this world. And Richard told me, like, we're using that kind of familiarity to make the movie seem odd. And he's just brilliant. There were, on set every day was just a surprise. You know, I would just kind of wonder, how is he going to do this today? And it was always something unusual. The movie also is interesting because, like, I'm playing two characters, so there's some, like, technical difficulty. And Richard was just so brilliant the way he differentiated the two characters. It wasn't too heightened, and it wasn't too comedic. It was just subtle and perfect.
Bacon.
And toast.
And toast.
And a beer.
And a beer. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Are you sure?
Just give me the damn food. What? I'm hungry. No, it's just, I don't know. I would have never done that. The tone of the movie is really tense and scary, and he just has a great skill. I hope he makes another movie. Yeah. So this movie, you know, it's made by Eliza Hittman. She is like a friend of mine. This is the movie I wish I could make.
If it's positive, is there any way it could be negative? No. A positive is always a positive.
I'll never make a movie like this because I feel a lot of pressure to make funny movies and to be funny and like kind of entertaining in a bigger way. But if I had bravery and skill, this is what I would do. Well, naked is great, but maybe I could do this one and I could say, so Old Joy I saw at the Film Forum when I was younger.
It's good to get out of the city. Forget all this is out here sometimes. No shit.
And I remember having this experience watching it that I think a lot of young people had, which is the following, which is, oh, I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know we could make movies this simply and they can still be good. It was so simple. I mean, every shot, clear, simple. Every scene, all the dialogue, clear and simple. And when I was writing A Real Pain, the way I was like pitching it was, I was like, it's like Old Joy on a Holocaust tour. And everybody said, you're saying two things that do not make me feel comfortable as an investor. You know, if you're asking for money, don't say Old Joy and Holocaust Tour. Say explosion and fast car. So this was what I was hoping to make. I mean, really, I was hoping to make Old Joy on a Holocaust tour. It's these two guys who've kind of grown apart, and it's this bittersweet moment in their lives where they realize maybe they might take separate paths. And so I was really, what I kept saying was I'm trying to make Old Joy. But my taste is very different than Kelly's. You know, I want to be funnier and, you know, have a little bit more explicit emotion.
Yeah, I don't want to lose you, okay? You see how people love you.
I was in Kelly's movie called Night Moves, and I love working with her. The strange thing about Kelly is that she is unbelievably, blisteringly, hysterically funny. She's a funny, funny person. And I always told her, I was like, why don't you make a comedy? And she goes, because I don't know. Then there were no stakes or something. And I was like, you're so funny. And now she's kind of making a little bit more. Her last movie was kind of funny. It's not a real comedy, but she is funnier. But she's a genius, and I loved working with her, and she let me live in her apartment for 6 months when I was going through a weird situation in my life. And then I let her live in my Aunt Doris's apartment. So in the movie A Real Pain, we talk about Grandma Dory.
Yeah, our grandmother, Dory, whose house we're seeing on Thursday, was also just this, you know, amazing woman.
Kelly edited First Cow in Grandma Dory's apartment in New York City.
No way.
Yeah, because she was living there because my Aunt Doris is my Aunt Dory. Aunt Doris. She was recovering from a health problem, so she was living with my mother, and Kelly was living in my Aunt Doris's apartment while she was editing First Cow. So I've seen no residuals or a special thanks, but that's where she was. Yeah, this is probably my favorite part I've ever played.
I'm Kenneth. What's your name?
Casey.
I'm glad you chose karate, Casey. It's an excellent martial art and will likely change your life.
The script is brilliant. Riley Stearns, brilliant writer. This probably was the most fun I ever had acting in anything. Every scene was brilliantly written, and my character was so strange. And, you know, he was like a little baby.
Get the fuck out of here.
I remember telling Riley, I was like, if I could play this part every day in my life, I'll have the greatest life in the world. It's so funny. He's emotional, but he's a baby and he's funny. And I really beg people to read this script. It is a perfect screenplay. You know, it should have, you know, won all these awards. The script is perfect, and I hope people read it. And I hope to do another movie with him.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much.
Konbini!